Excuse me. Alright. Let's talk about Sweating by Evan Marier times Dana Hawkins. A song that most of you have heard at least one of your favorite drummers play. It's been out for about 10 or 11 years or so. So the song is, in layman's terms, in the simplest terms, it's in 5, right? But not really, because it's a quarter time, which means there's 4 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. But each quarter note houses or nests 5 partials. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So the song is in quintuplets. So let's say you don't even know what that really means or feels like. Well, let's just start with the single roll in 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now that we kind of found that quintuplet grid, that quintuplet swagger, the next step is going to be to bring it closer to like the song. What you're going to do is put a kick on each one, which is going to be right hand lead, left hand lead. So everything is going to mirror back and forth. It's very symmetrical when you play in quarter time. That's what's nice about it, is you can mirror all of your rudiments, right? So you're going to go, and then you're going to grid the open hi-hats in each partial. Right? All of the partials are there, and that's gonna help you because this song has a lot of displaced open hi-hats. And I mean, you can even at first try to build the song's vibe off of that. So let's go with the one that's on the 4, because it's really the hardest one for me. So that's the one that I'm gonna use. So. Almost there, and we're only at the preliminary, still playing single strokes, and then just throwing stuff in. But now let's get even more precise, right? Let's get much more precise than this. So now let's look at the actual song and what Dana does. So at first he's kind of waiting on the waters of pondering as the click is going, and then the click falls into this quintuplet grid, and he goes straight to doubles, and he's doing the single roll stuff, but it's doubles, so he's pretty much calibrating himself with doubles to the quintuplet vibe. Right? And now the first thing he plays, which is super counterintuitive if you ask me, the song's in 5, the first thing he plays is a shuffle. A shuffle, I swear to God. So the first thing you're gonna need to do is run a shuffle through the quintuplet grid, and it's not that hard because the accents line up and move 3 times because it's 3 and 5. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and well then keep, look. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you have your next downbeat is on the second hi-hat, and then the fourth partial, you know, it's a flam on the first one. So again, see, and as long as you do that, it's gonna have 5 with it 4, because you're hitting each 5. So now that you've done that, you're gonna play that and mix that with your open hi-hat thing, right? So you see, it's starting to be more spicy. So now we're gonna look at the paradiddle 5, which is the most important sticking in the preliminary build up to like this song. So paradiddle 5, paradiddle 5, paradiddle 5. You're gonna want to get used to that kick phrasing of 5-1, you know. Right. So now you're in the paradiddle 5, throwing in a bit of your shuffle 5, and all of a sudden these really hit fills start popping up, right? Everywhere. So you're in quarter time, right? Again, quarter time, downbeat, upbeat, downbeat, upbeat. So the way that most of these fills work is off of the downbeat or the upbeat. So, right, is one beat, and the next so it's mostly just your Bonham style triplets, right? And deconstructed rhythmicus. So a lot of the time, to add static inside the song, he's throwing in rhythmicus, right? If you take that to here, you know, like it's a rhythmicus deconstructed that has a flam on it. And I mean, the first place that I saw this was in The Sound of Music, right? In The Sound of Music, it's like it goes or it goes. It goes something like that. Like, so I'm pretty sure that he stole that from Gavin. So now let's start talking about more flams, right? So we talked about the weird flam, but what about in the groove? One of the main things that starts to happen, right, other than that random cue for static, is flam taps and open hi-hats which border an upbeat or down beats final finale, right? So flam taps, just go back to your grade of 4 because that's probably where you learned flam taps from. Flam tap, flam tap. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 5. You see that any accent you can go from you can apply this to, especially flam taps. So 1 2 3 4 1 And a smart place to start applying the flam taps, other than on straight on the one, is just play your like groove inside any of your other systems, and wherever a double kick is, start your double flam there, right? Your flam taps there. So. Starting to really get a lot of stuff going, right? Your flam taps are going and you're displacing them for static, and every time you want a sweet pinch note, you're doing your rhythm cue for snare static, and you're displacing that. You know, that doesn't have to be straight on the one, and it's just a rhythm cue with an extra single to make it 5. And then depending where you like place it, it's gonna depend on what you're gonna do. Are you gonna make it longer, shorter? Are you gonna add something to it? And that's a good point, right? Is the hi-hats and rest and being in a weird place from doing this weird stuff, and it, you know, every time you feel a bit lost, open your hi-hat and fix whatever displaced time with a rest, right? Because it's probably a weird rest that created your displaced time to begin with. And I mean, like, this is like a super useful thing, and especially in improvising type stuff where you're just applying stuff across different bar lines and musical events, right? And just trying to see like what kind of happens, right? Like how like that feels, you know? So we got away from ourselves for a second, but now the song, it's getting bigger and bigger fills, and they're seemingly less and less in the quintuplet grid, right? So the more that you're gonna play, the less that you're gonna have to, rely on this, and it's gonna start being more about how much hip hop stuff you kind of know. Because the main thing going on is boxing the rate above. So if this rate is 5, boxing the rate above is 6, which is sextuplets, right? Because this song is basically just for 4. Whether you play 5 per column, 6, 7, 11, 13, it's all the same. You know, it's just how much sweat balls that changes, right? So, the main thing going on that I see with this song is paradiddle, naningo, and bembe, right? So that's the upbeat, the downbeat, right? The upbeat and downbeat together make 12 bars. I mean 12 notes. That's 4, right? So you squeeze that in by just going one rate above. So when Dana's doing from 5 to 6 and then back, and it fits. And if you happen to start it one note off of the one, subtract one note, you know, like it becomes rather logical, right? But so there's that. And wherever you can play paradiddle, you can play paradiddle diddle, right? So so I did 2 and then I did the whole thing and wow. And you see, I can use the crack just like I can use the open hi-hat as a rest that's planned to really like see, like that rest is bleeding rates. Like you know what, like all of your hurtas and all of this stuff, you know, like you can apply that with other rates, and that's kind of what makes like a good drum fill is you see you had dynamics, technique, and rates. And that's what created a proper crescendo to start, you know? So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, it went musical motion, you know, emotion and motion. Intrinsically linked. One. But so yeah. So you're doing these 6s, and I mean you can go up, you can do a 7. And what's the best way to do a 7? Well, if you're playing a song in paradiddle 5, might as well play paradiddle 7. Right? Dreaming Tree by Dave Matthews Band. But now let's bring it to sweatn. So we're not gonna play 7/4 in sweatn, but we might play septuplets or run that through quintuplets, which is literally what I do in Sean Fluffy, right? Which sounds cool, but that's for another time. So in sweatn we go. To 7. 2 rates higher, not 1. This is pretty basic. I mean, it's something that we all do. 2 rates higher is from 2 to 4. right? That's why 5 equals 7. Shh. The secret. So now you're playing these big fills, and all of a sudden a second verse hits. So what's going on in the second verse is a displacement of flat 5s. Flat 5s, Swiss root is the Swiss rudiment. You start with a double roll that has a flat, the accent, then the left hand, right? So now that we've looked into that, the next part comes back and there's bigger and bigger fills, but now there's a punch. And the punch is the same punch that's going to come in the outro. So you're going to have to pay more and more attention to this punch. But the punch is not hard because it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? So it's on the ones. That's pretty cool. But then the bass solo is coming up, and you better be ready. You best be ready, because the click is gonna go from quintuplets to just 5 times, but like you're still going to play the same rate, but it's gonna count more. And what's going to go down is right before the 1, you're gonna go. Right? Right. So now you're on your rim and your snare, and things are getting rich and delicate and fancy. And this is about the time you realize that like you might be playing a Swiss march, and that Dana might have asked one of his teachers or friends how to play quintuplets when Evan gave him this song, and someone just gave him a Swiss march. It was like, this is the secret. And I mean, it makes sense, because that's how Klaus Hessler teaches it. And he has a track record of creating Anika Niles, right? So now let's talk about the bass solo. So at first I would just play triplet stuff and try and make it feel in 5, until I saw Peter Haas, Haas, Peter Haas, playing. He's a Swiss cat, and he was playing a Swiss-based drum pad exercise. And it was just a Swiss triplet accenting every 5. But as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh my god, that's sweating, or that's the foundation thereof. So sweating, if you accent every 5, it's pretty much the same as your shuffle, because your shuffle is so similar, right? So you go the first, see, the first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, then it's a soft lamp, 2, 3, 4, 5, then it's the second one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then back. You see, so it's really not that hard, but it sounds slick within the song. It just sounds perfect, right? As the main thing. So you're doing this, and then you're gonna start to throw in more Swiss idioms. Excuse me. So the first thing we're gonna look at is just go back to our single stroke grid of quintuplets, which is what most Swiss drumming is based off of. And we're just gonna go. We have, once we start to throw in the double strokes, final of 7 and double final of 7, which is, in French, it's called raté sauté de 5 and double raté sauté de 5. And the thing that I want to point out is that there's a deep relationship between Swiss drumming and French drumming, and in Haitian drumming and French drumming, which likely produced this gem, which is the drum choices that Dana chose on sweatn, which is really one of his smartest, most dialed songs, you know, that, Eldridge, like there's a few, maybe 6 or 7 that are just flawless, and some that are just wank, you know, great wank, but wank nonetheless. So, now that we talked about that, right, let's go back and really look at the final of 7 to make sure. And then the double has that double accent. The third accent is a double, and that you probably have never done. And it's gonna work everything. And it's an inverting, sticking, so it doesn't even stay to one hand. You're gonna, you know, that's kind of what makes it so hardcore. And this was used actually in battle, as when the Swiss guard and the militants would march, they would play this to scare the other guy's drummer, right? Because the other guy's drummer was probably playing 4s or whatever, and this dude is playing quintuplets with like double accent at blazing speed. You know, it's battle drumming for real. It comes from battle drumming, right? Like, and it's one of these great things which, like, as like you saw, you like can build off it, and there's this fill which goes into it too. Right? See, like, it all works together, this Swiss stuff, so nicely. So now you found the double of 7, but one of my favorite things to do during the bass solo is running a 9-stroke roll through the quintuplet grid, accent double double double, accent double double double, right? Let's go back to what I used to do, because it's really useful for throwing in the toms. So what I would use is triple flams from what I perceived when I first heard Vital Tectones Volume 2, right? Maybe in the year 1999 or the year 2000, my friend, his parents had every jazz CD that existed, and he was a champion drummer. and I heard Steve Smith, and he was doing these fills that sounded like he was hitting a lot of toms and doing a real roll at the same time. And that was my first way to try and mimic it. It's like a pseudo Swiss triplet, you know? With the Swiss triplet is probably what Steve Smith was doing, but not always, because you see Steve do this kind of stuff too. So triple flat. It sounds dope, you know. So you just start throwing in all of these things. Even your flam 5 sounds killer. The final 7 double. So that's cool. You have your reveille strokes, your flam mills. Now let's look at one thing with the triple flam. There's the 5 versions. So the 5 versions. But you also have the 1 version, where that's 2 of this, 2 of that. You have the 1. So just right? So that's pretty awesome in itself. So now let's look at more flams, because flams are cool. So another single one, right? Flam tap diddle diddle diddle, and then you can change the diddles for accents or your final 7 double stuff, right? A double accent, right? A diddle where both notes are accented, right? So right. Sounds great. So there's a 7 version of that I'd like to share, which is Mike Johnson BF4's ride stuff, right? But what he's doing is a bit simpler, but he's still doing basically the same thing, and he does use the flam tap, diddle 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 stuff, but he's also doing paradiddle instead of flam tap, right? Pretty jazzy. sweatn, you can run it through the quintuplet grid, the sextuplet grid, the 7tuplet grid. Just make sure you hit a punch before and after, or some kind of musical statement that was there, the bass, right? So if you want to do that, sounds pretty funky, right? It sounds cool. So another thing you can do in the quintuplet grid is first, we have accents. What does it mean when we have accents, fool? Different rates, right? You can play anything in different rates. It's pretty. When you realize this, it's like the ocean of drumming just opens up. What was a creek, just suddenly it's an ocean. So now let's look more into this kind of Swiss marching stuff and how they piece it together, right? Right? Because what's gonna happen now is the solo, the drum solo, your solo. And the punches become everything, and we've already talked about this, right? The punches are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's what it's doing. And it's all about understanding the trampoline effect, right? So when you're going from rate to rate and all of this stuff, the way that I view it is kind of like skateboarding or trampolining, where you jump up, you do some cool stuff, and you go back down to your foundation, which is motion. Your foundation is local motion, like a skateboard or jumping. But every now and then you bounce up and do your trick and come back to your regular natural motion, right? So when you're doing solos, it really helps to remember this bounce, because the higher up your body will stay, the easier it's going to be to solo for a long time. Because if you see when guys start to fail at soloing and they're tired, they can't even reach their toms. It's because they're not bouncing. They've lost their bounce. Solo forever. The whole song, 10 songs, it doesn't really matter. And when I sweat, it's when I start doing things that I haven't done yet in that particular position, which is what I try to do all the time. Just always trying to go somewhere else, somewhere new, and figure out, where I stand there. So now that you're starting to really see just how Swiss sweating is, let's talk a bit about Swiss drumming and basel drumming, right? And there's one thing that these crazy guys do. At the Basel carnival, they all wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, dressed up as killer clown Nephilim godlike things with big red noses and wide grins, right? And they shed quintuplets at 4 o'clock in the morning to alert the town the carnival has arrived, right? Woohoo, right? The elves and all that. So that's just hilarious because now our entire community has been shedding pretty much Swiss stuff, right? Quintuplets because of Claus, who's a huge fan, and it's where I got most of this information from about basel drumming. And yeah, and there's a festival, then the whole town dresses up as these beings, and it's just hilarious because it's like, what if we are calling the fallen gods, you know, by playing sweatn, you know, like, it's ridiculous, but, you know, and Swiss, it's a wild place. They have a statue, it's called the baby eating statue. It's just a dude with a big red nose and a little hat eating babies, and that's what it's called, you know. So like, it's the order of the jesters type of vibe there, you know. Like the clowns laugh at you, but the jesters laugh at the clowns for laughing at you. Do you understand? So sweatn has this big outro, and then it ends with the punch. So the punch never changes, and eventually there's the last ones. So now let's talk about 7topower6, which really ties into this song just beautifully, where they should be taught together. But I want to talk about the Sharik one, because Sharik has a version of sweatn, which is pretty dank, but it's not as dank as Dana's in like its richness and its like, and its composite nature, which is just flawless. But Sharik outdoes Kaz in 7topower6 easily in the Zildjian clip that Kaz got mad at and made them delete it, which is how good it is. So if you want to see it, go bug Sharik and ask him, I need to see this clip. Because I've told some church cats about this, and they started playing 7topower6 just like me and just like Sharik. Because once you see perfection, you can't unsee it. You see? So this song, the way that it works, it's in 7/4 for the first part, and then the second part, it's in 6/4. So first, just your basic 7 beat, you know. So you go from your basic 7/4 to playing sextuplets, right? Which is clever, because at the end, the dude on the 6/4 plays septuplets. So on the 7/4, where he should be playing 7 but 4, he chooses to play 7 and 6. Me, I choose to play 7 and 5, 7 and 6, and 7 and 7. That's pretty much how I get through that tune. And it's really great, it's really fun, and it works perfect. So you're doing this, and it's just a basic 7 song to practice and doing stuff within that. two systems. So the song is starting to go into sextuplets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Na, 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 right? And then, as soon as the cue hits for like to restart the song full force, he jumps into septuplets, right? But he's not just doing it randomly. It's naningo and bembe, paradiddle again, right? Because when you're playing quarter time, it just makes so much sense to play that sticking. I don't know how Steve Layman can hate a paradiddle because, man, like all half of Latin music is based off that, and the other half is based off of clave, you know. So, all right, but so now you're not just bringing it from 5 to 6. You're bringing it from 6 to 7. Which is the same ratio, but it's going to feel different. So, naningo, right, when it's played in 7, it's going to displace by 1. So it's super important that you start it on the 1 of when you kick in. Because if not, it's not going to work. Well, it's going to work, but it's going to be like weird to get back in. So, and then this is going to displace, right? And as soon as that's finished, you hit your crash, and now you start doing the same thing, but on your kick. So, unison, a lot of that kind of stuff, and then the punches come, and it's just but yeah, so that song is super dank, and it's really easy once you view it that way. You know, you can start to play it as professionally as everyone else, and not just play some boring 7/4 beat and wonder why no one cares that you're playing 7 to the power of 6. Is, you know, because there's levels of playing it, and sweating is the same way. Like, you don't have to start trying to fit every piece together. When I first started playing this song, I would just play it single rolls. Right? And I mean, it worked. I played with this schizophrenic bassist guy, and even though he stole my girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend's tattoo gun, he could play, and we sounded like sweating, you know, and that's what I was doing at that time. And then you bring it to your shuffle. So now that we're going back there, back to the sweating mindset, we're going to add some cool things into our quintuplet grid that may not be so Swiss in nature. So let's use 5 strokes. 6 stroke combined creates an 11. It's pretty dank, right? So here's it sounding over a 3. Not sound, but 3. So anyway, the next thing you're going to do is the 7-stroke roll. See, and always mix these things back with your flam taps and your stuff. Don't just do stuff. Do something and then relate it back and be like, this is how this relates to that, and this is how this relates to that same thing, and this is how that relates to this one and that one together. You know, like, it can't just be chaos, especially in a song that's so rich and like acclaimed that everyone that's a high up there guy plays. Right? So there's a lot of stuff that you can do, and then you can get into some cool linear things like right? The 5. The 6 one is cool because there's more partials to mess with. That's pretty dank one. The 7 version, just put 2 kicks instead of 1. Right. 7 version, you know, you can go to 9 and all that so on, but another cool thing, right, is those accent things, and I just want to talk about Will Coxon, and just the whole idea behind this is really his, right, and it's taking your accent and creating a pyramid. So 1 and 2 is 1, 2, 3, 4. And so on, right? And you do your rates, and you just start to assign like stickings, and you can do this with everything, and then you can go up or down. that's what creates cool feels, you know? So, right, if you're playing a paradiddle, from 5 to 6 to 7, and then to 8. And I see Eric Moore and guys like that do that all the time. And I mean Dennis, he's a huge he's a huge fan of Paradiddle 5. He's always doing that because he's doing cool stakings. And that's what his thing is. That and playing shuffles and beats with a bunch of odd meter, hand, and snare, but that always resolves back to 32, which is what a lot of fusion jazz does, right? Like, it's still in 4 most of the time, but when it's not in 4, man, is it not in 4? But yeah, you know, it really works to your advantage to have that kind of stuff down and to really get it, because it becomes the glue to all of your beats. Doing this with limbs. Cool, you can play sweating on sound. Aaron Spears 15-step version, right? This song starts and then it goes to the ride. And what does it do in the ride? Paradiddle 5 and 5-stroke roll. That's what that part is. Everything else is trampolining rates. Mostly 8, which sounds crazy because if you're playing in 5 and you're trampolining rates in 8, that's 3 rates away, right? So that's quite a ways away. Right? 3 and 8. There's a significant gap there. That's why kids like that play extra fast, what they're doing is they're going to 9. Always boxing the rate above. Spanky is the king of this. You play a 12 tune, play it in 13, play it in 14, over it. It's harmonic time, Efren Toro, you know. He's the king of this. But yeah, so boxing a rate is super cool, especially because it becomes a different thing, right? Especially if, let's say, a 10-4. That's not so fast. That's 12. That was wrong. It needs to be slower. establishing a new pulse or a new accent from 10 to 11, right? And it's cool because it's way less fast than, like it's over 2 clicks, not 1. And you can do it over 3 clicks, 4 clicks, and get into wild phrasing stuff, where you're playing a quintuplet, but not within 1 click, but within 3, but still in a 4/4, and then it's really cool. Or like, let's just look at Sean Fluffy, right? Pair, diddle 7, but in quintuplets. And then I play 7 over the 6. I'm just boxing like the rate because it sounds cooler, but I'm playing 5, right? Which is kind of messed up, because then it becomes like a polar meter kind of thing. So that's an awesome thing that you want to do. Now let's just check and make sure that we didn't forget anything about this lesson, so that we can move on to the next lesson. But I wrote it out, so I just want to make sure, and for some reason it's taking long. Whenever you want it to go fast, it's never when it goes fast. Alright. Man, should I just start singing and trying to entertain them or what? It worked like before when I first looked at it. Man, I don't have the patience for that kind of stuff. Things that don't work when they're supposed to. It's like, alright, Evan right here, quarter time, quintuplets, single accents, and kicks. It's just a shuffle, bro. Flat taps. How to practice them off the beat. We talked about that. Inverted doubles. That's one thing that we didn't talk about, right? Is that when you're playing sweating, another cool way, instead of just going, you can put your double flat tap there, right? So, you go, right? So you just use an inverted double, but flat tap all of the doubles, right? You see, like it for like those big space times, like it really works. But always remember, your hi-hat can fix any problem that you find yourself in. So, now that there's that, what else is there? Random EQ for static and open hi-hat anchor abstractions, deconstruction, trampoline, basel, switch triplet accent every 5, double, triple flam, 9 strokes as quintuplets, the outro. Alright, there's something cool that we can talk about, right? We've been talking about Naningo a lot. So let's look at Naningo in regards to adding and subtracting notes and rates in the same mental system to create a new box. Because you can box above, but you can box below, right? Like every triplet fill ever on 4/4 is boxing below. Well, I mean, if it's a triplet and not a sextet. stuff with. So the ningo want to make that 13. Well, the easiest way is the end, right? So the end goes, right? 7, 8, 9. 7, instead of going, we're gonna go, right? So that means it's gonna go, and then we apply the rate so it fits. Over the 12, it works great in Valley. Spanky does that a lot, but you can also go slower with the 11 by just taking one note away. It's a cool way to play 11 that's not paradiddle, 1, 2, 3, which is the easiest way. It's pretty cool, you know, and Claus has his own way. Guess which thinking it is. If it's not paradiddle, which one do you think it is? Right? So that's all great stuff, and I mean that's the best way to play sweatn, you know, like, and it's gonna sound like him, and it's gonna be rich, and you're just gonna have to really focus on finding the right ratio of fills, open hi-hats, and hi-hat groove. And I mean, it's gonna stand out, and it's gonna teach you, like, after this, once you can play this song, you can play quintuplets over any song in 4/4 or in, you know, right? Like, you can have fun doing that. Pick any song, every song. Play it in quintuplets only. Don't just trampoline the box, right? Fascinating song, right? 5 starting in a shuffle. Who would have thought? Now I'm gonna play my set and play sweatn 6 times and keep on getting better until I can do better than everyone else, even being